control today, and I'm going to start with some of what seems to me that there are some assumptions about how WordPress is supposed to work. So basically you should grab WordPress, you should upload it to some host and then run the famous 5-minute install. Then you're supposed to just click in the administration, write some content, and everything will be fine. It seems to me that WordPress is created for this. So what I mean, all will be fine. Just like no plugin update will ever break the site. You will never do anything stupid for your client if you're managing them for them. These are some, assumptions, I think. And of course, they are wrong. So we all know that. Sites break and people do stupid things. So the question now is what to do about it. How to prevent something that cannot really be prevented. It turns out there are techniques to ease the pain, so to speak. So the main one is version control, and I'm going to speak about that. So version control sounds technical. It sounds like it's something for developers, but it's really not. The concept is very simple. You're basically keeping historic versions of something. You certainly know that from sites like Wikipedia. Google Documents are versioned today. Apple Time Machine is another example of this. So the concept is really, really simple. What is nice about it, that you can kind of leverage it to do some more clever stuff. If you have the basics right, you can do very interesting things. So the systems that leverage version control are called version control systems. And there are a couple of examples of them. WordPress itself uses Subversion to manage its development, and it couldn't possibly be what it is today without some sort of version control. So they picked that one. It is another extremely popular these days, and there are many, many others. So the main benefits of such version control systems, of any of them, is that they allow you not only to roll back to some specific point in time in the past, they allow you to undo some specific changes. So if you've done something stupid a week ago, you don't want to really roll back to 1 week ago. You just want to undo that one stupid thing and keep the rest. They can do that. They also enable branching and merging, which is kind of related to the next item, which is teamwork flows. So if you have some base state and 2 or more people start working on it, that's quite simple. But what is typically hard is to merge the work back to one single state. And again, these systems are very useful for that. And the next point is about space efficiency, because they only store very small incremental additions from between the steps. They're usually quite space efficient. So why is it that version control is such a hard thing in the world of WordPress? Why is it? There's one big enemy, which is the database. It's MySQL transactional database, but it's not really used for heavy transactions in WordPress. It's basically used to store some content and options and some of the things. So usually you have like half of the truth about the site is in the files, and another part, I don't know if it's half or more or less, but something is in the database. And it is all those systems that I mentioned are not really made to work with databases. They are made to work with files. So there is this one big enemy, and that's the main reason why it's not really easy to do version control in the land of WordPress. So what to do about it? If you know the benefits, if you want to leverage those benefits, how do you do that in the world of WordPress? So maybe if you're like an advanced WordPress developer, you probably use some of those systems already in some sort of way or another. So first you need to know that system, that like you are probably a developer if you're using them. Then you need to decide what you're going to version control. It's usually if you're working on a theme, you will typically version control that theme. Or if you're working on a plugin or more, you will version control just the plugin. Or maybe, which is what I used to do, is I used to version control all the files of the site, and well, database I didn't really know what to do about it, so it was just the files. It was kind of useful, but I always knew that some parts, for instance, in options you have things like the site names, so the site name was not version controlled in that sense. There are pointers to some sites that can be really helpful if you want to go this way. So things like GitHub or Bitbucket are really great help these days. But to return to the problem that I had is I always felt that WordPress site as a whole should be version controlled, because if you have another software project, you typically version control it as a whole as well. So about 2 years ago, we started prototyping something that turned out to be WordPress, which is our attempt to technically it's bringing the full power of Git to WordPress sites. So we're basically trying to connect those two worlds, one of WordPress and one of version control together. Yeah, maybe I should show how it looks. So here I've got a simple site that I'm going to use for this demo. WordPress is a standard plugin, so I'm just going to go ahead and activate it. When I do that, I need to start tracking the site when WordPress is just activated. See, it's doing nothing. You need to explicitly start tracking the site. There are some preconditions. The list is quite long at this point. This is probably the biggest problem at this point, because when command share hosting it is typically not available. But this is something we'll be working on. So yeah, we'll rather check for things that let you run it and then hit trouble. So when all is checked, I can activate WordPress. And when that's done, yeah, there will be a table like this. So now I can forget about it and just do some things. I see there is a plugin update, so I can go here and update. I can, for instance, cache the post, and because I think I will never need it again, I'll delete it permanently. So I can create a new post. Maybe the title will be better. And finally, I will probably change the theme. It's different. It's called 2013. Alright. So now I have this updated site. New title, new content, new theme. When I return to WordPress, I will see, can you see it? Bigger? It's too much. WordPress kind of recorded every action that happened. So we started by hiding the welcome message, then we updated the plugin, moved to trash, deleted the post, created new post, edited something, some blog name option, and switched the theme. So without me doing anything, WordPress tracked this, and now we can play with things like next to each action there are two buttons, undo this and roll back to this. Let's start with the undo function. So for instance, I didn't really want to delete this hello world maybe, so I will first undo the delete action. can also untrash it. So hopefully I should now have the post back together with its comment, because the comment was deleted as part of that single change, so I get everything back. And you can see that all the rest stay the same, so I still have the new theme. I have this new post, everything was maintained. So, one more undo. Should get rid of those A's. Yeah, so the previous title is here. If I refresh the site, it's also back. So, the other thing I can do, I can roll back to some previous state. So let's say I will go to the initial state. When it's done, yeah, welcome now is back. And the site should now look exactly like when we started. So 2015 and only this new post, this default post. What is interesting about this, we never lose anything from the history, so we didn't really move back in time. What we created is a new state that just happens to look the same as the previous state, and it's just another row in the table. And oh, there is undo button, so we can try that. When that's done and I refresh the site, I should have everything back. My new post, my new design, everything. So this is the basic functionality. In our future version we will greatly enhance this table. It's very basic at this point. I know it's not very nice and it's very simple, and it's missing who's done that action, etc. We have all this information, it's just not very well designed at this point. Another thing, maybe I can show you how this looks on the disk. It's really just git commits. Not sure if you can see that, but all those sections are actually commits in Git. So you can, like, if you edit a theme manually in some editor, you are a developer, you know Git, you can create commit manually. It will show up in the table, you can undo that, roll back to that. It's just standard commit. There's nothing really special about version press created commits versus manually created commits. So, having this kind of technology behind our back enables a lot of interesting things. One that we're working on at this moment is kind of clever staging. So this is really alpha quality, so hopefully this will work. I'm not really sure. So staging. Staging would often be useful for me. It's basically about creating a clone of the site, then working on this safe testing environment, and when the work is done, you want to move those changes back to production. What is simple usually is to create the initial clone. That is quite simple. What is really difficult is to merge the work back, because you cannot really replace your live database with your test database if there's been new content like in comments or posts, etc. You simply cannot do that. So you need some kind of merge. And again, having Git behind us, this is possible. So if this works, hopefully this will work. So do you know WP-CLI? Who knows WP-CLI? Yeah. So it's basically a command line interface to WordPress. We don't have a better user interface at this point. We will have, but At this point, I need to do this from the command line. So it's WD and VP, that's our command, like version press. I will clone the site. I need to give it a name. I'll use VP02. So this is cloning the site for me. So, yeah. So now I should be able to visit VP02. Yeah, it's the clone site. Here's VP02. Hard to see, but believe me. And what I'll do now is I'll log in to the backend, and
excuse me, is that creating another database, or is it using the same database?
It's using the same database, new tables in the database. So it's not reusing tables, but it's the same database. We considered using a different database, but that would be harder to set up. We need to So this is a post created on dev environment. So refresh it, create it on dev, and here on the live side. This is on the live side. I'll create it online environment. Publish it. So now this is like my live site. It has this post and not the other one. And this is my testing environment. And now I need to bring this change back. So if everything works, I should be able to just push the change back. Oh, sorry, I need to change to the other side. I need to go to the clone side and push from there to the original one. So it will be push. I think that should be it. Fingers crossed. Oh, this is... Thank you. What is interesting about this? These two posts could have had. Sorry, the grammar is terrible. The same WordPress ID. It could have been like ID 5 or something. And even if on both environments the WordPress ID was 5, we would still know that those are logically the different posts, and we would still do this correct merge. So it's not really anything clever about our code. It's just that we're really leveraging it. Git can do that, so we can too. Right. So with the current state, although this kind of works, we're still a very young project. We've just released 1.0 back in April, but it's really like a first milestone for us. We will need another milestone or two to be where we want to be. So, for instance, we don't support multi-site at all. We have trouble with some complex third-party plugins. I'm sure BodyPress would not work with VersionPress at this point. So, there are lots of complex plugins in the ecosystem. So we need to either support them or give them an API so that they could support VersionPress, but it's not done yet. Currently, VersionPress is available through our site through a yearly access program. This is a paid program, not that we would want to charge for VersionPress, we want to make it free. I sort of to limit access to it. We don't want anyone to to get it yet because you need to be kind of technical if something doesn't work. We don't really want to get that reputation for releasing something too early. So if you're interested, you can join this program, but really it's young. It works for simpler sites. For instance, we run it on our blog, but if you have like a large e-commerce site, it almost certainly wouldn't work there. So, but just for you, if you want to get access to it for free, just email me at Borek WordPress.net, and I'll be happy to send you a copy if you want. And here in London, we're looking, if you're a freelancer or an agency and would like to be kind of an early adopter, provide some feedback, some real-world scenarios, maybe help us prioritize what's important for you, or maybe less, then it would be really helpful if you could get in touch, either catch me later or just email me. Yeah. So that was VersionPress. This talk is not only about VersionPress. I have a last slide just pointing to some other solutions that are there today. There is Revisor, which is kind of, they also say that they do version control with Git, including database, but it's really more like a backup because they do MySQL dump and version control chapter dump, so they will never be able to do things like staging, etc. It's just not possible technically, but it's an interesting solution as well. And then there is Gitium, which is for plugins or themes only, so if you're interested just in that, it might be useful. And there are some resources, I'll probably publish those slides somewhere, so if you want to read about version control more, these are some good resources. I think that's all. Thank you. Maybe you can exit.